My name is Carlos Christoph, and I'm employed as a gardener here on this small spot surrounded by desert. For this job, I earn 200 rand a month. When I arrived here at Swakopmund in 1958, I had come to find work. Eventually, I was employed in the Rosing mine, but now I've grown older and I got this job instead. The money I earn must provide for my wife and my 4 children, for maintenance and the rent of the house, as well as food and other necessities. The money is never enough for everything. We blacks must live here in Mondeza, where the housing is very bad. I don't like this work either, but there are no alternatives. Independence is very good, I think, but it should have come much sooner. Hopefully we can soon be rid of the oppression, the terrible housing situation, and all other problems we have here, and that have been forced upon us by the white people. Between us, we blacks get along rather well, even if we originate from different parts of the country and not always share the same habits and traditions. As regards the relationships with the white people, that is a totally different matter. They have deported us here to live in dumps like this with all its disadvantages, and they have all the time been treating us like pigs.
Namibia was colonized by Germany in 1884. In 1915, the country was invaded by South Africa and South African rule followed. In 1920, South Africa was granted Namibia as a mandate to be administered for the good of its people, as it was stated. The mandate was ended in 1946 by the United Nations, and South Africa was asked to leave. But South Africa refused to freely leave Namibia. Only after the South African military defeat in Angola in 1988 did the South African government enter into serious negotiations about leaving the country. Under South African rule, Namibia lay open to continued exploitation. Blacks were deported to reserved areas and locations to be used as cheap labor. Immense natural resources were discovered: diamonds, uranium and other minerals. Large mining companies from the West and from South Africa started operations, and soon they were making enormous profits that went out of Namibia. They had free hands to exploit the workforce to the last drop of sweat, with trade unions forbidden and no collective bargaining allowed. Large compounds were built near the mines, like Arandis, close to the Rössing uranium mine situated 80 kilometers east of Swakopmund. The companies own the houses and the shops. Here the mine workers are allowed to live, but only as long as they can cope with the hard work. The companies like to convey a positive image of their operations in colorful leaflets. The workers have objections.
Yes, this man have been here for 11 years. He works at the Rössing mine. He drives a big machine at the mine.
Do you live with your family here?
Undirimo no family ngashi wenji ngashi wenwe yadha megumbongi family hanjepo namati ngashi hoteli pongi opena tangu amati amwe na tangu akasekera nuka kungironga malironga ka iwete ne paife okuzovura njaza ko tasekera kwa kungironga malironga ka iwete po masharagi ironga itathiki pota atido puije na tango kaliri yetumboka mbwetu kwa turire komesho.
And what's your wife?
Onkurukazi wanje na omweri mu.
Yes, the man he live here with his family. Also, other boys is not here. The other went to look for jobs, but when they go to the employer to look for the job, sometimes they chase them away. He live here also with his wife.
And can you tell me about the condition of living in Arandis?
Ya ongaro mwana nsanduvuro kuipopya ndesha nduvuro kuipopya ongaro homwara disa ambara ka shina ongaro nji hukira kone taiti na ho para nande na waka shina ho para otaiti muko turi moto na moruhe porunene ne otoipa kembadara ngani ni manando kulinga tutungiro ponga iyo masharaga mga hagafatage to parere nando goma udhano ningo kukaranga nando kuli ningo gahenda etunga yapo nando kuli mari ni maisha mjoka opeiti ndirwane
Yeah, he can tell about the situation here in Arandes. He said the condition is not too good. They wanted even to be built in the training center, also good places for the rest or where they can spend the time with their vista and so on. But till now, this didn't given to them.
And what is your salary?
Onjabi yanje oyiringa pumatherongo imo.
He earned about 900 rand per month.
And is that enough to maintain your family?
Family.
Imali mbyo kina iwana kai. Baru mbyo kicho na nengondo. Oshoka pa ifini mo inondiro inimote antaiwo de simbo keshe. Mara imali wa itaiwezo na ndoka shonane. Utaiti na ishewe inashiwa na mashinango handishingi. Oshoka mashinanga shindega pepeta meko kutia. Mashinango no manene. Mashinage na etona ethere no mirongo heali.
The man said that those money is not even enough to help his family because even the things very expensive. Those money is not even enough for his job because, as he have said before, he drive a big machine which is about 150 tons.
What do you do for a living? Honingishike mongaramonyoy. Umotsumeb.
Ilongo.
Where? Openi?
Momina.
Simon.
O tate Yeshiri? Simeon Timotheusa. And living in Tumeb and he's working in the mine.
So, Tate Simon, can you briefly tell us about the standard living here in Tumeb location? Otodo kulombora onharamonyo morokase ya venduka. I mean ya Tumeb.
Ndiro kutonga gongo shimwe shiningori. Haidiro kupopza ko shimwe shishona. Timu wanishiru nini. Ya ukali wetu ndisho tampula ukali. Ya ukali se mwilongo tulimo tujujushiri. Ya katunamo mbili, katunamo evatelo lasha. Ya eshi tuya ko hambo imaliwa nini omu no mafiku yenye kuitwa sitaka kombingo imaliwa.
Yeah, it is very difficult for them to make a living here. And he is a worker, being work in the mine. They don't have money to make a living better, and in fact, there is no peace in the country.
Please, Tate Simon, can you tell us about your salary? Istate horongone hamkwati ngapi?
Tulia shikepo mafereri atano.
They are being paid 500.
Is that enough to maintain your family? Imuraya wani no kukarao kafiro etimuro alishe.
Imaliwa ina iwana kwete kuchondira ne umbondo hai imaliwa muhandiri na ai yi habala.
The money is not enough to maintain the living of the family.
And Tate Simon, can you tell about the standard safety of the mine? Otodo kutrombera ongamanyo ya meno mo mina utomulimo ma meno ngona wa kiko konga iponga ngitamurongo.
Nga iponga toka ameno anga ipi o ashika mutu mwe tola amene toli pungula na po ima ponga singa ha ifeshi hatu o otpapewa oilongana na ei ngashitwa stakongelinya onu tadengo njini oya ekiti.
About the standard safety of the mines, there is no measure to prevent incidents or accidents which are happening in the mine.
I've been traveling around a little bit here in the country, and also I've seen Katatura, and I've seen the conditions people live under. How would you describe it?
Well, let me try and describe the conditions as prevalent, as have been prevalent in this country before independence. Number one, because this is also the reason why the CCN was called into being. Normally, we know that, not to be tribalist, but this is the fact that the white man came into this country with the Bible in the one hand and the gun in the other. Meaning that while preaching the gospel, on the other hand, the enemies, killing, torturing, putting into jail, maiming, in order to try and divert people's true aspirations towards their own aims. Number one, we have got the overall evil. We call that evil here, which is the apartheid system. When South Africa came into this country in 1915, because 1919 was the year when officially the Republic of South Africa was declared as a republic, and thereby Namibia having become the 5th province under the 5-year plan of the South African government.
Recall the legends once so proud and true. My people used to live here not so long ago, but they fled into the night and I was left alone. I got these walls for you and me. Dream on, sail on, my memory. Stand
This country has been balkanized into what we call homelands, whereby, people were forced to live into these impoverished Bantustans in order for them. So when they need some work, they must of necessity come to the white zones in order to seek work to make a living. So the economic setup of this country was such that, it was twofold. You had, first of all, a wealthy white-owned economy, which comprised people that are in a minority, a group of people that are in a minority, and they are the ones reaping the riches of this country, from the mining sector right down to farming and agricultural industries. Whereas the second economy is a subsistence economy, which comprises the majority of the people of this country, and they are the people that are really suffering because their economy is, dependent on the white man's economy, just in short.
Katutura is situated 6 kilometers southwest of Windhoek, the capital of Namibia. This huge black suburb corresponds to Soweto outside Johannesburg in South Africa. Both are creations of apartheid. Katutura means we have nowhere to live, a suitable name for a gross residential area where very few people would settle, if they had a choice. Here live 60 to 100,000 black people, and more than 50% of the adult population is unemployed. About half are under 18. The fact that there is such a high rate of unemployment means that Katutura in reality functions as an excellent pool for cheap labor for the benefit of the white-owned economy. Those that are lucky enough to get a job must work hard and long hours for little money. If there are objections, others are quickly ready to fill the objector's place. Katutura is an enormous suburb, growing larger and larger each year. Nobody knows at what rate, though. Neither is it possible to obtain a reliable population figure of the area. What do you think of the living conditions in Katatura for most of the people here?
Well, the living condition in Katatura, in particular the majority, it's not that good. There are places which has got a very terrible living condition. For example, what they call single quota. This place, single quota, it hosts most people who are migrant workers, mostly from the northern part. And you find that a single person who having a two-roomed place is housing more than 6 people. And apart from that, there are also extending family, young people who are employed, who are flocking from rural area to come for employment. But as you know that the employment, it's very high in Namibia.
It's a big rate of unemployment.
It's a big rate of unemployment. There's also a certain place which we call Hakahana, which was established 3 years ago. And those people who are staying there, they were housed in a compound which was demolished 3 years ago. And that place is not really sufficient because you find a family man having maybe 5 children and the other member of the family having just one bedroom to sleep. And he's paying around about 200 rand a month.
What about the people here in Katatura? I mean, they can't live on subsistence, really. I mean, the land is very shortage of land here, and they're so clustered together. What do they live on?
The people here are forced, as I said in the first instance, to be dependent on the white man's economy. The white man saw it fit to build so-called Katatura with the aim of trying to stamp out those that do not have employment in the white zones like Windhoek itself, the city of Windhoek. The aim of building Katatura was to accommodate those that have got work already.
But how do people survive?
Very difficult. For example, if you go to this area, I have mentioned single quota, you find people who are making a living very hard. Some people are selling, for example, the youth, they are going into the forest to collect wood and sell them. The women who are coming to visit their husband in urban area, they are involved in a self-generating income activity, for example, brewing some beers, and also go to the butchery to buy third-hand meat so that they can sell.
However hopelessly bad it looks, there are degrees of hell even at Katatura. Despite everything, not all share the abominable conditions that can be found in the most ill-reputed areas of Katatura. These are called single quarters and Hakahana. Hakahana means we were forced to come here in all haste. We visited both areas and listened to people talking about their own situation.
We have lived here for more than 6 years now. I have 7 kids and my neighbor here has 8. We live on cooking third-hand meat that we sell. Sometimes we eat bits of it too, but we use the money we get to buy other food to our kids. The money is never enough, so we hope that the new government will improve conditions here so we can lead a better life. We didn't want to come here to live, but because of the situation and all hard problems, we were forced to move here.
He came here 5 years ago, and he owned 2 rooms, sleeping rooms. In those rooms, he housed the family, which is approximately 10 people. As you could see that the condition is very, very bad. The people are just sleeping one another on top of the bed. So the first thing he is thinking the government can improve is the housing, so that at least people can live in a reasonable condition.
hostel. I've lived here for 3 years now. Before, I lived in this hostel with my family. But then this hostel was torn down and we were told to come to this place. They told us that houses had been built here for us. When we came here, we noticed that these houses were different from the ones we had lived in before. Here, they had put the toilet inside the only room that these houses have. So now, I live here in this house with one room, and in this one room, there must be enough room for 4 people. But there is not room for more than one bed, and this one bed is too small for 4 people to sleep in. So we take turns to sleep in the bed and on the floor. I work for a company in Windhoek, and I earn 108 rands a fortnight. 8 rand is spent in taxes, and there is only 100 left. For the rent of this house, I have to pay 200 rands a month. There is water but no electricity, and the fee for the water is not included in the rent.
From what I've seen of the living conditions, I must conclude that also health must be a problem here. Oh, yes. What are the most common diseases?
The most common diseases, especially here in Namibia, is TB, tuberculosis, bilharzia, cancer, and there is some kind of abdominal ulcer, it's a stomach pain, which also occurs, and malnutrition. These are the immediate problems facing the Namibian nation as far as health conditions are concerned. If you go through Katutura, you'll see places like the single quarters, even some of the places in Katutura, where you see how people are living in very severe, poor, unhealthy conditions. So what I'm talking about here is conditions where people don't have work and don't have, any employment at all, and where they are staying, they are forced to pay monthly rent for that 1 room or 2 rooms that he is staying in. So people are forced to try and make ends by their own means. The one is selling a bit of meat, the one is making, fat cookies and so on, in order to try and be able to pay the municipality for the rent of the house.
My name is Teresa Chazuko.
Teresa Chazuko.
Yes.
Please, can you tell me about how do you feel about the standard living of people in Mondesa as a student? Do you feel happy about the way you are living in Mondesa?
No, I didn't feel happy because they are not so good. Yeah, many people in one house.
Oh, that's so where do you live now?
I live here in Mondesa.
Do you have the same standard of living here in Mondesa as the white people?
No, they haven't got the same standard,
So why?
Because they are in good houses and they get most of money. They can enjoy everywhere they want. We want also the same life, but we haven't got money.
Christian missionaries were among the first whites to make contact with indigenous peoples of Namibia in the 1840s. They came from the German Rhine Mission Society and started their mission work mainly amongst the Nama, the Damara and the Herero peoples. In the 1870s, Finnish missionaries arrived at the north of Namibia and started working amongst the Ovambos. In 1910, the first Catholic missionaries came to Okavango in the north, and the Anglican Church sent their first missionaries to Namibia in 1916. During the War of Liberation, the churches in general have come to adopt increasingly radical positions against the apartheid system, and they have played an important political role. The political stand of the churches have been particularly important in Namibia, since all other channels of peaceful protests were efficiently silenced. With the exception of the Dutch Reformed Church, which has throughout supported apartheid, the churches of Namibia enjoy today a strong position in the Namibian society as Namibia is gaining its independence. More than 80% of the population belong to a Christian church, so it can surely be said that Namibia is the country in Africa where the Christian missions have been most successful. On the negative side, the missions, apart from the tragic role they played in supporting the colonization of the late 1800s, have played a detrimental role in the nation's cultural life when, for instance, missionaries condemned the use of drums as sin. Today, the Evangelical Lutheran Church, Elsin, is the biggest in Namibia with more than 360,000 members, and this part of the film was shot at their church at Oshakati in Ovamboland. The education that was provided at the mission schools was in time replaced by much lower standard apartheid schooling for black children in accordance with the South African model. On average, the colonial South African regime allocated around 10 times more towards the education of white children than to that of black ones.
So these are teachers working at what school?
At the Chikoto Secondary School in Chumep.
And what's your name?
My name is George Matthews.
And what's yours?
My name is Moses Shingo.
And yours?
I'm Paul Simon.
Okay. What do you feel about the standard of education for your school?
I think it's not the right because it's based on the colonial system. Understand, just for the blacks. Like in the olden days, they used to say, you are not there to develop a black man, but just learn him how to understand and doing some things. And he must only know how to respond. You see, for an example, when you ask him to do something for you in the kitchen, so he must know what to do, especially in the kitchen. So I see it is a use coming from the former colonial power. Let me give you an example. The Germans, because they are the first people who have been here. And the South Africans, they take over the system.